Uh,
Hi, everyone.
hey, Scott told me I had to clap before he knows that because I do all my videos. I have to clap first when I'm going live so he won't curse. So there's the clap.
Okay,
We're
that's
good
good.
now.
So the rest of the team can contain themselves, so we can
Yes.
pull off this professional webinar today. Images
Yes.
Everything by our PhotoDay's Director of Education, Jay Boatwright. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully you can see and hear us. Give us a shout out in the chat. And I'll just, for anyone new joining us today, welcome. I am Lisa. I am part of the team here at PhotoDay. This is Jay Boatwright. He is our Director of Education and also owner of smaX Photography. And we're hoping to bring you guys some valuable information today. So thank you, Jay, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this webinar for us.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Looks like we got people saying hey, so everyone can see us.
Yep. Kinsley and Randy. Yep.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And just some housekeeping here. If at any time we freeze or you don't hear any audio, there's a little reconnect button at the top. If you don't have that button, just go ahead and hit refresh. You should connect right back into the webinar. Also, there's about a 10-second delay between the time that Jay or I talk and what we see your chat pop up. So if we don't answer your questions right away, that is why. You got questions coming in already for you, Jay. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before you kick this thing off? We won't keep them waiting that long. So
okay, got it. Well, okay. So Randy, that's a good question. How do we come up with smaX? And actually kind of ties into what I want to talk about first, which is kind of the whole history of our company. I'll be quick and try not to be boring. But when we started, I just had basically an idea. I wanted to hire a photographer to take photos. And then I had another friend of mine who had a big printer that could print fat heads in his garage in my neighborhood, just right down the street. So the idea was to get a big basketball tournament, hire a photographer, and then hire my friend to do the actual printing of the fat heads of the kids playing basketball. So I knew nothing about photography, but I knew I knew somebody who was a photographer. So we were trying to think of the name of the company, and Karina or myself, we weren't photographers, so we didn't want to name it Jay Boatwright or Karina Boatwright Photography or Boatwright Photography because we really didn't know anything about photography. So we were thinking of an easy name. So Fathead was the thing back then. So we wanted to have a real simple name, and we were just in the kitchen thinking, and Karina said, the stickers, they smack on the wall. So we decided that smaX would be a good name, and we had to put the X in there, of course, to try to be, edgy. So that's how we got the name smaX. It was smaX Art. Our website is smaxart.com. So our shirt said smaX Art. And then eventually, as we got more into photography and I started taking the photos, then we switched over to smaX Photography. So that's the history of the name. Turned out good because, we split up a lot. And by not having the name of one of us in the name of the company, I think it serves you well, because if, you're going out to a new league, it's just smaX Photography. It's not Jay, Karina, Scott. It's just smaX Photography. So it works out better that way, I think. But anyways, back to kind of the history, and we did action photography for a long time. That's all we did, and that's how we got started, and we were successful with it. But we know that Karina and I both had jobs, so we did our weekday job, then our weekend job, and it was really tough for a long time. And we figured that maybe we could be a little bit more profitable with team and individual photography as we started, researching. And Atlanta's a big market, and that was back, I guess, 13, 14 years ago. We had a lot of major players in big companies in Atlanta, and they all kind of took the same photo. It was all basically the same photo. And I was like, well, I think we can get in there. And they're big companies, they're seven figures. So they were giving out rebates and incentives, and they were really competing. Back in the day, it was like you had a lab, you have, GPA had a lab, and they would have only a certain amount of photographers in Atlanta. They wouldn't let any other photographers out. They wouldn't let a bunch of photographers in the area because they had exclusive products. So that's basically how our competitor, when we came in, they competed by, the ESPN product that they might have, or some sort of, there was always a new product coming up that was going to be the big seller that year. So they're all competing on rebates, and I like to call them tchotchke products. So that's how they're competing. And I was like, well, we don't have the money to compete with rebates, because the rebates literally were sometimes up to 50% with signing bonuses and board member kickbacks and buttons and magnets and all this stuff. So it was just out of control. We couldn't compete with that. We were basically broke. So we figured that we just had to take better images than our competition, and that's how we were going to compete. We're going to just find those programs that they wanted better photos. They weren't necessarily looking for money. And that's how we kind of got started. And that's how I had to compete. I was offering lower rebates, not as much stuff, but in that case, my photography had to be so much better than my competition that the leagues were willing to take a chance with smaX photography in order to get better photos and not getting complaints from parents. And I have a photo for you to show you what now, as a lot of the competition has gone away by now. We still have some major competitors in Atlanta, but a couple of the big companies are out of business. But I'll show you kind of what I think this is one from one of the companies that went out of business. This was kind of the quality that we were dealing with. Let me share my screen here. Okay. So that was my competition. And so I figured that I could do a lot better than that. I don't care if they're giving away a lot to the league. I know they're getting complaints from parents. I know that. So in my mind, it's like, we can do a way better job with photography. So maybe we'll get a chance. So that's basically how smaX photography got started, is by doing that. Now I want to kind of get started with Lisa, if we'll go to like our first slide that we were just talking about. So we have basically a style, so smaX style. So when we post stuff online, most of our customers know immediately that that's one of our photos. And so I want to go over with you kind of the top 5 reasons why we shoot the way we shoot. The first thing is it's hard to replicate. It takes a high amount of skill to go be outside all day long with changing lighting environments. You can have clouds, you can have sun, you can have wind, rain. There's a lot of issues. You can have background issues. There's just a lot of situations which you have to overcome when you are shooting in this style. And I like that. For me, I want it to be hard. I want it to take a lot of skill, because I know it's going to be difficult for my competition to come in and duplicate my photos. And it's especially difficult for a parent who wants to take the photos. You know, guys know that iPhones are awesome. They can take great images. So you have to be really good to make sure that the parents understand that they're going to get a way more professional image than their cell phone or even their nice camera or their DSLR is going to take. So to me, I think that's one of the biggest benefits, is that it's very hard to replicate. All right. Second thing is it's a timeless look. I'm always getting these updates on Facebook, what I did, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And my images 7, 8 years ago, they still stand the test of time, in my opinion. It's on the field of play. Okay. So I believe the image is going to look great, whether they're going to have photos right there in their stadium. It's going to look fantastic. It's if you have composites, then I think those are going to be dated at some point. No matter how good the design is, eventually those will become dated. A photo that's in a player's football stadium is going to look good now, and it's going to look good 20 years from now, in my opinion. So I love the timeless look. Now, for PhotoDay specifically, we have faster turnarounds. And it was the same with paper order forms as well. Faster turnaround times. Now, let me just have a little caveat here with there's a lot of photographers that I have a lot of respect for that shoot a lot of composites, and they use Next Gen and all those platforms, which I have no problem with. I have to use those sometimes myself, but I'm just going to talk about the way we shoot and the reasons why we do it. And I'll plead my case, and I'm sure Lisa will have a composite photographer come on and plead their case as well. I have no problems with composites. I just feel like this is the best way to shoot for the PhotoDay platform. And of course, you can form your own opinions. You can do a little bit of both. It's great if you can do a little bit of both, but this is the reasons why we do it. Faster turnaround times. So when I take images, I took images last night. We have them uploaded. We're going to have them edited. We'll be ready to turn them around just in a matter of 24, 48 hours for a smaller league. The bigger leagues, it takes us about a week, but we feel like they're really fast turnaround times. And the composite images, they just take us a long time to turn around those images. And if you're shooting 5, 6 7, sometimes 8 leagues a week, they just start stacking. And if you can't turn them around quick, everything just, turnaround times can get a little bit out of control, can get very stressful. So I really like the fact that we can take images, get them really close in camera, just a small amount of editing and cropping, and we're good to go. Okay, more images for happier parents. All right, so as you guys know, if you're doing composite photography, shooting more images, that can really throw a kink in the system. You might be able to 2 or 3 per athlete, but if you start getting up to 5 or 6, it's really going to slow things down and make things difficult, because we're all shooting on speculation. We're going to take the photos and we hope that we do a good job and the parents are going to buy our images. Now, if you do that with composites, that's a lot of work on the back end to create all those composites, not knowing if the parents are going to buy or not. If you're shooting on natural with the cameras and natural backgrounds in the field of play, the only thing you have to do to get a really different looking image is take your camera from this height right here and move it to the ground, or take the camera from portrait and move it to landscape, or tell the athlete to smile, or tell the athlete game face. Next thing you know, you have 5 or 6 different images and you can do it in under 20 seconds. So that's just a way. At PhotoDay, we know that getting a lot of images out there is a key to getting nice high sales numbers. So I think it's a lot more difficult if you're doing composites to get 5 or 6 images for those athletes or those parents to choose from. And lastly, for me and our photographers, it's a lot of fun shooting this way. I mean, we show up to each field, each location, and with a fresh mind. And even sometimes if I've been shooting in a location for 5 or 6 years, I had a volleyball photo that I posted recently that was at a gym I've been shooting at for 5 years, and I had just a different angle, and the photos looked fantastic. So I enjoy that challenge, just coming up to a field, not knowing we're going to shoot, and finding the best location, given all the factors, and finding out, okay, this is where we need to go. And for the people that come to work for us, it's fun for them as well. It's like that we're teaching them photography, all the things you got to think about in order to pull off a successful shoot. Now, if you're shooting composites and green screens and that sort of thing, like I said, I have no problems with it, but I just don't think it'd be as fun. Every location you show up to, you do the same thing. You go to the same location, same amount of lights, everything's the same, which does provide for consistency, of course, but I just don't think it's as fun. I like to have a little bit of skill involved. I like to have different locations and be able to see different things. And as a matter of fact, oftentimes I tell my customers, especially let's just say a board member, somebody's been putting the schedule together, you want to make sure they get treated right. I tell them to come. Don't be the first team. Make sure you come towards the middle or the end of the shoot when we get a chance to warm up to really find out which is the best angle to shoot at. Because like I said, even when you have your spot, you can move this way or that way for a few inches and make a big difference. So I like for my best customers to come towards the end of the shoot. So that way we've got everything figured out and I know exactly where the best angles are for that particular shoot. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over to some images. Now I had at least one of me. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's back up. Okay. So this is a spring of 2019. This is a big league that we got. We're really excited to get this league. We're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, just one of our best leagues. And it kind of was, I mean, it's a big number, but there's a lot of kids. The sales should have been way higher. And we gave away, this is one of those where we had to compete with a competitor and we gave away a little bit more than we wanted to because it was such a big league. And then the sales were just like, and that sales number is fine, but it's really what you take home, right? It has nothing to do with what your actual sales number is. You could be more profitable selling $4,000 the league if you set it up right. So we didn't make much money on this league. It was kind of a flop. We were really excited about it. And we staffed for a big shoot and sales were just like, One of the issues is they were used to getting free magnets and buttons. So everybody was coming to get the free magnets and buttons. And we didn't really sell much on top of that. So COVID came, we switched everything over to PhotoDay and we gave the parents the options to actually see all of our photos before they bought. And we still did the buttons, I believe. We got rid of the magnets. But as you can see, our next year, 2021, that's a big difference. We almost doubled in sales. And that's what I was excited about. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, those are the numbers that I'm talking about. And I feel like there's probably at least 500 athletes in that league. So the participation is still not where we want it to be. But for us, we just consider that's just going to be opportunity. If I can get that 255 up to 300 next season, then we're going to go even more. That the average order was fantastic. And that was given that even it was a $67 average order, and they still got their free buttons. So we did really good. We got rid of the magnets, and we'd been there for a couple of seasons, and the parents got to know us, to know that they had a good quality photography. And then we gave them PhotoDay, which gives them the option to choose all their photos. And, you know, our minds were blown with that. We almost doubled in sales. So now that's a league that we really value. When it was down at 9,000, we're like, oh man, it's too much. It's too much for that little bit of sales. But now we're really excited about that league. Okay. Let's go over to start looking at some images. Now, these images are all from this season, actually probably from the last few weeks. We have a lot of great images. We feel like we're consistent no matter what location we're given. And I'll kind of explain to you, what my rationale is between why we chose this location in each situation. So this is we've been shooting here for years, and I couldn't decide whether or not we were going to shoot at midfield and have the as you can see this, let's see if you can, I'm sure you can see my mouse, but we have the booth, the press booth out there. That's what it's called, the press booth. I was thinking about shooting right from the 50-yard line, having the press booth directly behind the player. But that particular day, I had a really nice sky. We had some blue skies, and I wanted to take advantage of both. I still wanted to see the stadium, but I didn't want just the stadium in the background. I wanted to be able to have the option of having a little bit of blue sky. So if I had put those players on the 50-yard line, I really wouldn't have gotten to see any of that pretty blue sky that day. So that's why I changed it. And I was on the very far end of the end zone there, so I could see a little bit of black. I want to have that black in there as well, which is the end zone. So we get a little black, a little green, and so that's why we went with that location. Same thing. I just love the clouds, so I was able to take advantage of that. And one thing we'll talk about there is that posing is a big deal with me, but that football, I just bought those footballs, and we really tried to get the really nice equipment and gear, so the kids are excited about their photos when they're holding it like authentic football that is their correct size. Okay. Bad thing is if you get a little kid like this and you get a football and it's the high school size, it'll go basically from his chin all the way down to his belt buckle. So you want to make sure that when you're selecting your equipment that you want to get an appropriate size ball and some nice equipment so the kids are excited about holding them. Now, I realize for this pose is a little, the only issue I have with this pose is that, you're covering up the number. So if you do have a problem and you think that the parents are going to have an issue with that, you can have that pose right there and then go back to, let's see if the other kid was tucking the football. Yep. And you can go to there. Okay. So it's really quick to go from here to here and kind of figuring out what you want your progressions to be that day, how many poses you want, and how you want the looks to be. Okay. But I basically gave the kids the option. You can tuck or you can put the ball in front of you. They had the option. And so those two poses are a little bit different. All right. Okay. So this is a local league. We've been shooting them for a long time. And kind of the whole story behind this league is this is what our senior banners, we did the senior banners for this football team. And in exchange for doing that, we get the entire league. Okay. So the team moms, they were using the big companies, and they hated their banners. And it's their time for I took photographs for their kids in elementary and middle school. Now we're in high school, and they've gotten 3 years in a row of bad photos, and they wanted to make sure that their seniors this year got good senior banners. So that's why they hired us. So that's what's fantastic about PhotoDay is that, we're finally capitalizing on those big high school programs. Because as you guys know, if you're shooting a big high school program, you have to shoot your individuals, you have to shoot headshots, you have to do group shots, linemen, quarterbacks, running backs, all the different position groups. Shoot the big team photo. You have JV, varsity, you have cheer, you have parent photos, you have coaches' headshots. There's so many different aspects to make sure that the high school program looks good. So many different photos. And what we were doing with paper order forms is we were just hoping the players would bring order form, and they weren't bringing that many order forms, and we weren't selling that much because we had no way to show the parents the photos. And plus the parents didn't know if they wanted to purchase that team photo or the family photo or the headshot. They didn't know what they wanted to purchase. So with PhotoDay, now we're able to get high school programs, and it's fantastic because this is the senior banner. I did a little different look than the rest of the rest of the league. These are the senior banners. Then we put the rest of the images up on PhotoDay, and we sell everything. We sell the headshots. We sell the family shots. We sell position group shots. They all are profitable, and the high schools have been really great for us. And in Georgia, where I'm at, we start in July. So for high school football starts in July, so that way they can get the images for the program when they start playing football in August. So before, we didn't even start working until mid or late August. Now we're really busy. We're already have a packed schedule starting back in the last week of July. So it was good to fill in that little time there where we're usually slow. So PhotoDay has definitely allowed us to start shooting high school football, which is fantastic. Okay. All right. This is we just did this one last weekend, and this is the one where it was that turf looks good, but it was 117 degrees on that turf that day. So it was hot. It was a really hot day. This is a really simple pose, which I think is part of it. Is like a lot of people get hung up on lighting and that sort of thing, but having good, strong posing is one of the keys to success. And we framed it up right. The field goal looks just right. The helmet, you can see the logo. The ball's tucked. That's actually his appropriate size ball, even though he's a little guy there. And yeah, I just like the colors and the vibrance of that photo. And it's a simple pose. So you don't have to do anything super creative, I don't think, with the posing. I would much rather see the photographers do a good job of just doing a simple pose, a simple tuck pose, or the ball right in front of them. And then, nail that pose, just get it right before you start moving on. It's kind of like your basis. If you can get that, then you can start moving forward with other more creative ideas. All right. Okay. So this is an interesting location. This is the first time I've shot this league for years, and this is the first time they put us on the, the practice field. And we got a lot of questions about how this photo is going to look. It's going to look terrible because all that. So back there, they're the Grizzlies, and I know you can't really tell, but I know the parents know what it is. That's a big grizzly bear back there in the background. Okay. But underneath the grizzly bear, there's soccer goals. There's a bunch of junk. It looks absolutely terrible. So I wanted to take advantage of the grizzly bear, but I didn't want, everybody to see the soccer goals and things like that underneath there. So I had to shoot at a 2.8 aperture. If I go up to 5.6 and everything becomes in focus, and you start to see a little bit more of that junk down low. So this is when I talk about skill and it being a little bit more difficult to shoot this way. This is a good example, because when we shot from usually shoot from eye level, then we shoot on ground level. And from eye level, I had a different setting on my camera. So I'm shooting eye level, and then when I moved to the ground, I had to change the settings of the camera to make sure that I could see the grizzly in the background. Okay. So it was a difficult thing to do, but this is one of our best leagues for junior football. So I wanted to make sure that they had fantastic photos. So we're pretty happy with the results. Like I said, you might not know there's a grizzly bear back there, but the parents and the kids that actually have those photos know that it's going to be a grizzly bear. And I think we're putting we just took this. So we're posting that today. So I'm excited about getting some PD 100s from this particular league. All right. Okay. This was last weekend. We did this photo shoot in Florida. And again, this is a big reason why we like to shoot with shallow depth of field, shooting at 2.8 is our aperture, because you can see there that in between the field goal and the scoreboard, there's a really busy road. Okay. So cars are flying by there all day long, but from eye level, I got a few cars in the background, but from this level from the ground, I get rid of all that. Okay. All I had to do is shoot in that one little gap, because right there in that gap, that's where the trees are. If the cars go by, you won't be able to see. So we're able to shoot from a low angle, a shallow depth of field. And we had those beautiful photos all day long. So it was fantastic. So that was just, looking at, I went there the night before. I scoped out the field because I haven't shot there before. Ended up being a great plan. And yeah, we got some fantastic images from that particular field. Again, as you see there, this guy had a great face. I loved his game face, and he's holding the ball correctly, and he has a good ball. That's those new Wilson balls. You can see his numbers, his logos. You know, it's a solid photo. But that's one of my kind of pet peeves there. As you can see, really learn how a running back holds a football, and that's what we got going on there. We always have his hands on the nose of the ball, and those little details parents and coaches will really appreciate. All right. Okay, we're on to cheer now. So I think at least it has to be some football, cheer, volleyball, and softball. Those are the four sports that we're going for in the fall so far. Again, this is the league where the football player. Let me go back. I'll show you so you can see what we had different angles here. Okay, that was the football player standing up. Okay, and then we had to open up, raise the ISO up a little bit in order to get the cheerleader brighten up a touch. Love this pose, and you can see the grizzly in the background, but it's not overbearing. If I'm shooting it like F8 and you can see the grizzly, I don't know, I feel like it might take away from the subject a little bit. And again, you see more of the junk that's there below the grizzly. But this is the easy pose to do. So we had the cheerleader stand up, and then we had them on their knees. Really easy. And as you can see, she has the palms covering any areas that could be inappropriate. That's really important. And if you're going to shoot low with cheerleaders, you have to make sure that it's appropriate and you're not seeing anything that you shouldn't with skirts and that sort of thing. So we have them cross their arms, and it looks really good. And that little kiss of yellow light there on her hair, that's just the regular sunlight. So it's nice to position your subjects in an area where you can just let that sunlight just come naturally. And I think it's a really nice look. The lighting's kind of flat for the cheerleaders, but we have some highlights there to add some depth. All right, let's go. Okay, this was the one of the first ones I showed you where I wanted to take advantage of the clouds. And we also took a photo from eye level, so you see nothing but stadium, and you get all those reds, and you see more of the fields. So you get the reds and greens, the complementary colors, and I think it just looked fantastic. This is such a cute little girl. Now, what we do and what you want to try to do with your leagues is we kind of have Karina sends out a keys for success for the shoot, and one of them is football helmets, extra footballs, although we bring footballs, and megaphones and palms. Okay, those are some things you might overlook. You have to have those items if you want the photos to look their best. Now, you can get away with not having a megaphone, but sometimes it kind of looks sad when the cheerleaders just standing there just with a little lone football or lone football helmet. So kind of building up the scene makes the photo special, and it, again, differentiates a parent from just taking a photo. We had that scene built up. This league's fantastic. They've had 2 megaphones, 2 helmets for us, and 3 sets of palms. That's what we need to shoot 2 lines. And so we're able to lay everything out really nice and organized, and I think it turned out really good. But I also took that photo from the ground, and I got the sky in there. So we were able to have 2 completely different looks for the cheerleaders really quickly just by changing the angles of our cameras. All right. Okay, so just something fun with the cheerleaders. Since we're using PhotoDay and we can mix and match packages and photos with our packages, we allow our parents to mix and match. So if they want a 4x6 of a game face and a 4x6 of a smile, they can do that within a package. So we want to have, different looks, and I love giving a little attitude with the cheerleaders. Okay. So this is an easy pose. So you can see this league didn't have any megaphones. So we had to make some adjustments, and we had a helmet for the most part, but we took the helmet out for this particular photo, and she held the football. So that's just fun. The older girls like this pose. The younger girls, they don't like to hold the football, but the older girls, they want to hold the football. Sometimes they'll hold the helmet, but it's just a fun, quick thing to do. And all you really need to do to tell these girls at this age is to show me a little attitude, and they have no problems with doing that. So that's what we did there. Hold the football there, sweetie. Put your weight on this hip, and then I want to see some attitude, and that's what we got. So it's really easy to do. We have a smile, then we have a completely different look with a little game face and a little bit of attitude. All right, let's see here. Okay, so this is a softball league we've been doing a long time, and this particular girl actually came down to Winter Park and posed for me for a Boatwright boot camp. And her mother's a good friend of mine. And again, this is towards the end of the shoot when I was figuring everything out. And this is a senior, so we did a little something different, kind of like that football pose that I showed you earlier with the senior with the gigantic hands on the football. just to change lenses and did a little something different. So I got the entire softball program, varsity and junior. So there's probably 70 girls there. And they also want us to do the senior banners. So we have to do a little bit different look. And, if you're shooting a low angle with a wide lens, you can kind of get some distortion, but you can play it to your advantage if you like. So we have a tall athlete here, and I wanted to really just kind of accentuate how tall she was. Very pretty girl. So, you just have to frame it up nice. So we had the camera on the ground. It's a 24 to 105 camera. Put it right in between the stadium lights and the scoreboard. And I think it turned out the mom loved it, which is important. That's the most important thing. The mom, who was the director of the board there, she loved it. So we're good to go. Now, could this photo be better? Absolutely. Could add better clouds. You could, you could composite some clouds in there if you want to. We literally do not have the time for that. We can't do it. If I was doing one of these a week, then yeah, I would go in there and I would replace this guy to have something a little bit more dramatic, but we just don't have the time. We have to keep going. So we have to get stuff as good as we can in camera, make some slight adjustments, and then go from there. I would not spend the time on this to go in composite clouds. All right, let's see here. Lisa, I guess we're just going to go through questions at the end, correct? Or do you want me to answer any of the questions that see come up now?
Yeah, you can answer them as you go along.
Okay. Okay. So I have one. Do I shoot on a tripod? I do not shoot on a tripod. Everything's handheld, which we can get into in a second. But our team shots, if we have big, football team shots is 60 some players, we'll set them up on a tripod. But we don't have to. Again, all the rules have changed with PhotoDay. You can have one on a tripod, take the camera off the tripod and start moving around and get something a little bit more creative for the teams. That's what's so much fun, is that you don't have to stick to just doing the cookie cutter stuff. You can move around with PhotoDay and do different things because you're able to sell those photos. All right, let's see here. Okay, team photo, same thing. I'm not crazy about the sky. I didn't have much going on with the sky. But we had, this is just a good example of using props. This is what they want to show the softball. So you see that says seniors, and then the 2022, the girls holding it. And of course we got smiles and game faces with this particular pose. And as you can see there, it was kind of important is just making sure you have your gaps filled in. Whether you have a small team or a big team, you want to create some gaps and fill those gaps so the photo looks nice and tight. So we had 5 girls in the back, 2 girls in the front. Typically you want to go even, odd, even, or odd, even, odd to make sure that your team photos look nice and tight and compact and professional. I did shoot this with a long lens, and I think that's a lot of time that photographers don't do that with group shots. They think they need to shoot with a wide lens. This again was shot with the 70-200. I like the look, and I also like the fact that I can go from individual lines straight over to a team line, keep the same camera, and not have to change my lens out. So if you haven't shot any group shots with a long lens, I would really suggest you try it out because it's a really neat look. And again, it's something you're not going to get with an iPhone. iPhones are wide angle lenses. I mean, they might get to, I don't know, 60, 70. I'm not sure what they get to, but I know they're not getting it 120 to 200 millimeters to really compress that scene and have a really different look. So try that out. Try shooting some team shots with a longer lens and see how you like it. Just make sure you shoot wide enough so the parents can get that 8x10 crop. Okay, volleyball. All right, so this is last sport we have kind of for the fall. This was, they put me, the varsity, it was great because the varsity team had a photographer down the floor and they were shooting the varsity team, and I got the junior squad. Here at Georgia, junior is middle school. So I had the middle school girls up on the catwalk, which wasn't a very good looking, wasn't near as nice as the brand new gym with the gym floor. But we saw what that photographer was doing. Those photos are going to look terrible. So our photos look better than the junior varsity got better photos than the varsity. So what I did there, just like there wasn't many options. You see I had railing back there. I just had that, track style, like rubber floor. So again, we went with the low angle. I love shooting the low angles. We have a hair light, a rim light, and a main light. And then we put a light back there on the banners. I wanted to have a little bit of light back there. I did put a blue gel on it, but it didn't look really good. So I took that off and I just shot with just a reflector. I just wanted to show some depth and some of that blue color back there, just kind of accentuate that. And I think they turned out really good, even though we didn't have the best spot. We were able to make the photos look good. And so I was pretty proud of the way those turned out. All right. This is a black and white conversion of the same place. And with PhotoDay, we like to offer the parents colors and black and whites, and the black and whites do sell. And this particular black and white it's a black and white that we created, and it's different than what the parents would do, just converting it to a black and white, through Windows or Lightroom or whatever on their phone. This is a different black and white. It kind of has a sepia tone to it, so I think it's different than what they could do on their own. So I like doing that with the black and whites to make it a little different, so that way the parents have more to choose from. We did do a comparison, and we did find out that galleries with black and whites our average order was higher than the galleries without black and whites. It's kind of a pain to do, but it goes from offering your parents 5 images to 10 images. And that's just, having more images usually works out really good, especially if you're to customize a black and white for yourself. Now, I don't really sell I don't really do templates. Just got to create your own templates in Lightroom. If you're not using Lightroom, make sure you use Lightroom. They have all kinds of tutorials. It's a pretty simple program to get used to, and it's really easy to convert and create your own presets. But if you buy presets online, a lot of times they don't match your camera. I think every shoot is different. Even with the same camera, I'm doing a little different tweak, and then I create the preset for that particular shoot. It only takes a couple of minutes to create a preset for that shoot that maximizes the colors of the athletes, the field. You might need more reds, you might need more blues. You can do that yourself, create your own preset. You don't need to buy presets. You can do it all on your own. It's really simple. You just have to invest in a little bit of education in Lightroom. Let's see here. Yes, I'm shooting mirrorless. We'll get into that in a minute. And Tina, no, I agree with you, Tina, about that. Tina asked about the polls on that group shot. Yeah, I'm not crazy about those polls, but we'll remove the polls if they want to use that for like a senior photo, because that was just the seniors. But as what we post in PhotoDay, no, we're not going to remove the polls. Again, it's just too time consuming. We don't have time to do it. So we'd leave them in there, except if it was a banner or something like that, we would remove the polls. To the left of me there is a concession stand. It looks terrible. Camera left. Camera right is the band was practicing, so we had a very narrow window in which to shoot the group shots. So that's why you see that there, and unfortunately we had those polls. So again, we would remove the polls if they're going to use this photo for something specific. We're not removing the polls if we're posting those images on PhotoDay. Okay. Let's see here. We went over this image here. Let's get to my next guy. Okay. Volleyball. Again, this is a team shot. I just want to show you that I do shoot teams. Usually I don't post team photos on social media. I just do individual photos. Kind of my thought on that is like, of course we want to have good team shots, but if you go and you look in your dashboard inside of PhotoDay, most parents are buying individual photos, not group photos. So we try to make sure those individual photos are perfect. Group photos, of course, we want to be good, but we're not going to be as particular about a group photo as we are individual photo, because the sales are with individuals. All right. So again, this is just something different. They didn't want a standard pose, so we went a little different with them. And again, as you can see, we want to fill the gaps there. So we have 5 girls in the front, or we have 5 girls in the back, 7 girls in the front. So that isn't odd even. So we had to create a little bit more layering. That's why I had the girls up on the knee on the floor. Then I had number 24 in the center, went a little bit lower. So it created a little bit of depth there. Okay. So she was out in front a little bit lower. So that way you still look like we're filling the gaps. All right. Now posing, you have to be, what I like to do here is I like to set up the girls where I want them and where I want their feet to be. So I had my tallest girl, she was my anchor. I make sure she understands she's the anchor. She can't move. Then I place the other girls where I want them. Okay, keep your feet, your shoulders right here. Don't move. So I've got everybody in their place. And then once I get everybody in their place and the angles I want them, then I'll go over the details of the posing, how I want them to hold the ball or how I want them to squat. If I want them, their hands on hips or their arms crossed. So kind of one by one and really fast, because you don't have a lot of time. You only have, 4 or 5 minutes to get this photo, and you want to make it look good. If you can see on the ends there, 21 and 10, they're squatting on one knee down. That's a great pose. If you just have the player squat, doesn't look so good. So staggering the feet and then squatting looks a whole lot better. Usually have to demonstrate to them how to do that. But that's a good little pose to have in your bag if you need to create some different levels on the edges of your photo. So that's what we did with that photo. All right, let's see here. Okay, same shoot. And everybody was practicing at this shoot. So there wasn't a lot of room. And then we had this big, gigantic flag. Gosh, that flag must have been at least maybe 20, 25 feet tall. So it was a beautiful flag. So I want to kind of take advantage of that. If the principal is going to put that in there, obviously that's important to him. So we took advantage of that. In order to do that, we shot from a low angle. And again, shallow depth of field. We want to be able to see the American flag and the net back there, so we know we're volleyball. We know we're patriotic, but it's not we want the focus to be on the athlete. Okay, so I was really happy with the way these turned out. We did a lot of portrait orientations, but I love the way the landscapes look. And so that's why we had to include a little bit of both. And again, this little attitude pose. It's funny, at this age, a lot of girls don't like to smile with their teeth. They have braces. They don't like their teeth, that sort of thing. So we get a lot of smirks at this particular middle school age with girls especially. But yeah, that was just a matter of, and we have practice going on left side and right side. So it's nice to be able to shoot with a long lens, compress that scene, make it look like we're the only people in the gym. Let's see. Let me see a couple questions. Keith, are we converting black and white and not giving the parents the option in the gallery? I'm not sure. We convert to black and white. So it's the same images, and like we have 5 images of the athlete, then we have 5 images that are black and whites. And we do that. I don't think you can convert from black and white inside of PhotoDay. They can convert on their own, but a lot of times parents don't know what they don't know. So they're not going to convert it themselves. So we go ahead and do that for them. Do you do any edits? Sandra's asking, do you do any edits in Lightroom for PhotoDay when color or with volume? Do you do minimum? Okay. Yes, we do. We touch each photo. So we're not turning around photos in 24 hours. We just can't. We don't have the manpower for that. And we want to touch each image. So we crop and we do little adjustments. And I have a, let's see. We have this guy right here. Let's see if you can see it. Okay, I have this guy right here. It's called a loop deck. The loop deck is awesome. It allows you to get into some menus that aren't easily accessible if you're just using Lightroom. So loop deck lets me change colors quickly and increase the saturations on the colors to make them pop. And I'll suggest if you're doing a lot of editing on your own, loop deck's kind of invaluable. They have different versions. That's the original version. They have another version. I haven't used that. I'm not sure how that works. But the loop deck's kind of, there's lots of, there's a thing called Console. I think there's lots of companies out there that offer like a editing, I don't know what you would call it, almost like a DJ, whatever you call it, MIDI board. There's lots of companies. There's 3 or 4 of them out there now, and you can, they can have sliders. So they're a whole lot easier to get to your colors and deep inside the menu in Lightroom, where you wouldn't do that if you're just using a mouse because it's just too much time. Do we offer memory mates in our price list? I think we do. Don't we offer memory mates, Karina, on our price sheet? Karina, I believe she's got her headphones on. So yeah, I believe we do offer memory mates. We do. Yeah, we don't do I don't do pricing and that sort of thing. I just take the photo. So, but Karina creates all the price sheets, and we do offer them memory mates. We don't put them in there like done. We just let the parents build those memory mates up. For years and years, we never offered memory mates. Probably for 6 years, we didn't offer a memory mate, and we were able to get away with that because I just felt like the images should be able to stand on their own. And that's, kind of feeling I had. We started doing memory mates. They were fine. They're still not a big seller. with this, which I'm fine with that. I want the parents to have a big 8x10 of their athlete. I want it to look awesome. Memory mates can be good, but it's just not a priority for us is the memory mates. Okay, let's see. Let's see where we're at next. Okay, let's go back here. That was the last image. All right, I want to go over some keys to success for shooting in this natural environment, like we shoot here at smaX. And this will touch on some of the questions that I saw here in the group chat. Number one is mirrorless cameras. Yes, we've switched to mirrorless. Everything's mirrorless. I'll never go back to DSLR. And if you haven't saw my talk on PhotoDay with John Scott of Robert's Camera, you need to watch that video. He had a lot of great insight that DSLRs, they're pretty much companies aren't putting any more technology in DSLRs. They're kind of at the end of their life. So mirrorless cameras, we've switched to a long time ago. I've got a Fuji system, I've got Panasonic, and I've got Canon system. I like all of them. I think they're all great. And I'm sure Sony's good. Nikon, I'm sure Nikon's good as well. But mirrorless is really important, and specifically mirrorless is key for PhotoDay. Electronic viewfinders, you can see the image directly after you take it, so you can move on to the next pose. That's really important. Also, we're shooting on turf and it's really bright outside, so when I take a photo, I can see the photo inside my viewfinder, so I don't need a loop. So that's really important. It has a level, so we're making sure as I got older, I started shooting really crooked with my DSLRs. Has a level in there to make sure that you shoot straight. And especially with Canon, that's another video I made for PhotoDay. If you go with the Canon mirrorless system, there's crop lines inside the viewfinder. Okay, so you can crop for 8x10, you can get it level, you take your photo, and then the crop carries on into Lightroom for you. So it's a huge time saver as far as cropping and leveling out your photo. You have the level and you have the crop already done in camera, so when you import it into Lightroom, all you need to do is make your color adjustments and you can post. So that is a huge deal. As far as which system I like best, I like all of my systems. I do have to say it's important that you get the right screen. Okay. Give me a second. This is my Lumix S1. I love this camera. It's fantastic. They have the right flip out screen. It flips like this. And then it also flips. Let's see here. Sorry. Hold on. I have to act like I'm on a photo shoot. Okay, there we go. And it also flips like this when I lay it down on a portrait orientation. Nikon and most Sonys only flip like this. Okay. And I'm telling you, that's not good. I mean, it's fine. You can make it work. But if you're doing a lot of volume photos and you want to make sure you get a lot of different looks fast, you need a screen that flips both ways. So flips here for portrait orientation, flips here for horizontal orientation. Super key. Now the Canon works fine as well. This is the R6. It flips down like this for a portrait orientation. And if I want a horizontal orientation, I can flip it out to this side. I don't like it as much as the Lumix, but it still works fine. Like I said, the advantage of this Canon is it has those crop lines in there, the image stabilization. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. We can go a whole hour on mirrorless cameras, but there's both those cameras are 6 or 7 stops of image stabilization. So basically what that means, you don't get a lot of camera shake. When I'm shooting with DSLR, I shoot with a Nikon D4, D750, you would get some camera shake. So if you're shooting it anything below 2 f4, you're going to have a problem with nailing your focus on a volume shoot. So with these mirrorless cameras, the image stabilization is fantastic. They have them in the lens and the body. So you can, I mean, I'm almost shaking. I still get a crisp, clean photo. So just so many advantages to the mirrorless cameras. All right, let's see. ND filters, Rashad, yes, you can use ND. I like to use ND filters. A lot of people use high speed sync. For me, ND filter has more advantages to the way we work. Number 2, 5 keys. The first one was mirrorless. Number 2, long lens. I shoot most of my stuff with a 70-200. I like to compress the screen. I think it's more lifelike. Don't get any distortion in my subject. I'll shoot with a short lens if I want something dramatic, like you saw with the softball player from the low angle. But for the most part, we're shooting with long lenses. I shoot 7200 with a 2.8 lens. I think the 2.8 is important because, like the football player I showed you an example of down in Florida, I want to be able to blur out that background if there's something distracting in the background. Same thing with the Grizzly. We don't always have the best places to shoot. Okay. We don't always have the best place to shoot. So we have the gear that we need in order to maximize that location. Okay. If we're up in that volleyball shoot where, we had all those beams going across, if I shoot that at f8, it's going to look terrible. It's going to look terrible. So be able to blur out those backgrounds is really important. And it's best done with a 70 to 200. All right. The third key to success shooting in natural backgrounds is it's a funny one. It's kind of weird, but it's having a sense of direction. You guys really need to know where that sun's going to be at all times. All right. Throughout your shoot, even if you get to a shoot and it's cloudy, the sun can come out 3 or 4 hours later. So you have to make sure you know where that sun's going to be throughout your shoot. Okay. Photo Pills is an app that I use that I really like. It shows you, it's basically augmented reality. You can hold your phone up and it'll show you exactly where the sun's going to be throughout the day. But it's really important that you know where that sun's going to be and you can set yourself up to where you'll be able to shoot for most of the day without providing any shade. Okay. There's some situation where you can't help that, like that spot down in Florida that I can only shoot one direction. So I had to make sure I was able to shade the athletes if I needed to. But best case scenario is being able to put the subject in a place where you don't have to provide much shade and the sun is providing a hair light or a little rim light on the side of your athlete. All right. Number 4, we want to talk about is crowd control. All right. Really important when you're thinking about doing a volume shoot all day long is picking out a spot that, of course, you have to have your sun, you have your background right, but you also have to consider the crowds. Is there parking going to be in the background? Is that field over there that's empty behind your subject? Are they going to start practicing? Are they going to have a game? Are parents going to sit there? And then your flow, like how are people entering the field? Am I going to have to scream at parents and players all day long to get out of my background? You really have to control your background as much as possible. What we like to do is make sure that we have plenty of stanchions, GPS, group photography resources, I think, or group photography supplies. I think is the same ones that make the risers for football. They have stanchions and they're fantastic. They have ones that will just screw in, and so you can set them on a turf field, or they have ones that stick in the ground. So we use their products in order to crowd control. And then we used to use caution tape, but then, some people said the caution tape looked like a crime scene. So we got rid of the caution tape. We got our own tape made that says smaX photography. Is very inexpensive. So we have our tape and our stanchions, and we can block off 100 yards if we have to make sure that the shoot stays organized. And also we use those stanchions to create lines so the players know where to stand. It's really important. It sounds like it's not a big deal, but you go to a shoot and you forget your crowd control items, and the shoot can become chaos. You go screaming the whole time. People get out of the background. Parents are standing right behind you. Players behind you. You need to create a border around you so you can concentrate and also make sure that your background's good and it looks like nobody's on that field. Okay, last thing would be posing. All right, this is my theory on posing is that, and I think it's been said in the groups before. I'm not sure who said it, but basically it's if you have a good pose, the lighting doesn't matter. You can fix the lighting, but if you have a bad pose, no amount of good lighting can help that photograph. Okay, so you have to really be detailed on your posing. Make sure the player knows how to hold the equipment. Make sure their shoes are tied. Make sure their shirts are tucked in. Make sure they're angled to right. They're not covering up any important logos. There's a lot of details in posing that you have to pay attention to, and you have to make sure that whoever your assistants are, they pay attention to so you can get great photos that are going to sell. The key to the PhotoDay system is that it's you have to create great images, and if you don't, then you can fail. So we're shooting on speculation. And if you're going to, the parent's going to see the photos before they buy, you have to make sure they're as good as they can possibly be. All right. And having good posing is super important. If you put the helmet in the wrong place all day long and the helmet's facing the wrong way, you could lose hundreds of dollars just because the parents don't like the way that helmet's placed. So really pay attention to be detailed with your posing. That's the last tip that I have, but that's probably the most important thing is really being detailed with the posing. Okay. Let's keep going here. All right, Boatwright boot camp. All right. I'm coming up in Winter Park, Florida. We're really excited about this. this is just a class that I teach. It is really hands-on. It's 2.5 days, and we go through all the items in detail that we kind of talked about. But that's really, it's really a great time, and we learn a lot. Show you all the gear. Gear is important. I have a ton of specialized gear for volume photography that I just couldn't do without. Makes my job so much easier. So everybody gets to use that gear. They get to try the mirrorless cameras, try posing. It's just a fantastic class. And most importantly, we develop relationships that last for a really long time. We have over 100 photographers now in the Boatwright Bootcamp Facebook group, and it's really a great group. We have lasting relationships, but the education just doesn't end with the Boatwright Bootcamp. We have 2.5 days together, but that Facebook group is always active. We're always learning from each other, and it's just a fantastic group to be a part of. So we're having signups are tomorrow. Tomorrow is we're signing up. So if you're interested in doing that, we're releasing registration at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to go quick. So if you guys like to come, that would love to have you. And if you got questions about that, text me. I'll be happy to call you to kind of explain a little bit more about bootcamp. Okay, Lisa, upcoming webinars.
Hi, Jay.
This is all right. This is for everybody here. That I'm a sports guy. The good thing about living in a big city like Atlanta is that I can only do sports. I only do sports. I don't do schools. I'm not saying schools are bad. It's just I can specialize in one particular niche. So Lisa has gathered a fantastic crew for you for school photographers. My good friend Justin Grafton, and we have Stella, Zeke, and we have
that's Robin and Jennifer Jansen.
Yeah, in the background. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. It's in a week. So I'm covering the sports for you, and we got these awesome photographers going to cover school photography for you. All right, Lisa, how we do?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jay. That was a lot of great information. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And of course, as always, thanks for your time. I know you must be really thirsty. I always am after 1 hour of talking.
Yeah,
exactly. For sure. Hey, you had one question. I don't know if you answered this or not. Where do you get that custom tape printed, your caution tape?
You
remember?
I can find out. I think it's like a Highland Tape. Oh, it was Highland Tape Company, and they ran out of business.
Oh no!
Yeah, that was awful. Let me see if I can find out who did that. Okay, it is. I guess I can. Let's see.
We'll figure it out. We can always send it on the email when I send out the replay too.
Can I put it in the chat?
Yeah, you can post it in the chat.
There we go. I just copied and paste Income Custom Barricade Tape. Yeah.
There you go, Tristan. Hopefully you're still here. You can grab that name so you can search it up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That stuff is awesome.
Oh, Foreign Print has it too. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good place to buy anything custom printed as well.
Yeah. I think maybe we test. Just check the pricing. I think that a company that just does that is going to be a little cheap. Foreign Print's probably just getting it made someplace else. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, they're probably marking it up a little bit. Yeah, if you're looking for best price.
Yeah.
Or convenience. People pay for convenience. One-stop shop. So.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So yeah, that's barricade tapes. Super important.
Yeah.
Do we miss any questions, or are we good?
I think that's it. I was just looking through to make sure we got them. I think Jeff asked to link the Canon crop video. I just went and looked for that. I couldn't remember what group you posted that video in when you found out about the crop guides in that mirrorless. So
I think that was in PhotoDay.
Was it in PhotoDay user group? Yeah, I'll figure that out. I'll send it to you, Jeff.
Yeah, Emily had the link to it. So yeah, I think you'll be able to find it there. But
okay.
Yeah, that's a big time saver. And I'm pretty sure that's, of course, only with mirrorless cameras. They're R5, R6. Probably work on the R as well. But the R5 and R6 are really good.
Yeah, Randy's asking you on the ND filters, how many stops do you normally use?
2 to 5. 2 to 5. Yeah. Any more than that, and that's another reason why you use mirrorless cameras, right? You can see through the filter. With DSLRs, you cannot, and DSLRs are going to have a really struggle focusing. So another advantage of mirrorless is that you can, you can do more things with that mirrorless system than you can with the DSLR.
Yeah. Hey, and if you guys didn't know, maybe I'll screen share this really fast so you can see Jay has a lot of tips and tricks available right in your studio panel. in PhotoDay Academy. So I'll just share my screen really quick so you guys can see that. Let me grab. Whew, I got so many windows open right now, so you guys are going to see my massive amounts of tabs at the top of my screen. But over here, when you log into PhotoDay, you have this PhotoDay Academy section, and then you have programs over here. And he's got videos here all about posing, gear, stuff that you've done in the past that's really helpful. And then, of course, you got the other tip of the weeks here. And on next week, we will have that Canon mirrorless tip that you did with John available here as well. So lots of stuff for you guys.
Just the mirrorless talk, basically, the gear talk with John.
Yeah, the gear talk. Yep. Yeah, we'll have it all here in the studio panel as well. And if you guys want to watch any previous webinars, they're all here as well in PhotoDay Academy right on your studio panel. So just wanted to show that to you guys too.
Yes, fantastic. All right.
Yeah, that's about it. I think
2 o'clock is perfect.
I know. We got one more question. What is the app for the sun location called, Jay?
Photo pills.
Photo pills. Oh, I think
there's another one too, like Sunseeker or something that somebody told me about. Sunseeker, photo pills. They're both.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that the other night.
yeah. You have to pay for them, and they're not. But I mean, I use it pretty much every shoot. So I think it's $7 or $8. So it's a pretty cool app. The augmented reality thing is really cool. It shows you exactly where the sun's going to be. So that's a good one.
Awesome. And then the Andrew asked, what type of flashes do you use?
I use Godox. I mean, I wish I could afford the Pro Photos, but I cannot. They're really expensive. So we stick with Godox. I've shot with Alien Bees, and I switched from Alien Bees to Einsteins, and I switched from Einsteins to Elechrome. And it was the Elechrome D Light. It wasn't the expensive Elechrome, it was the D Light. And then we went from Elechrome to Godox. And so far, this has been the best system. You know, each system's gotten a little bit better, but so far, this is the best system I've used is the Godox.
Awesome. Well, all right. Right at 2 o'clock, we'll let you get back to work, Jay. Got to post your gallery.
Yeah, I got to post. I got to go back out to Kennesaw Mountain. So,
all right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Replay will be out tomorrow. And if anyone needs anything else in the meantime, you know where to reach us at photoday.io. And thanks, Jay, again for your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.